Come on, let's go. Allez.
Bye. Too much in there. You don't want
Mama missing that.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ما بعد. We'll continue today inshallah with the second class from Kitab al-Siyam, Umdat al-Ahkam, the beginning book by Ibn Qudama rahimahullah. Ibn Qudama, who wrote 4 books. Umda being the first book. So last week we did al-Siyam. When does Ramadan begin? Who is Ramadan? Fasting Ramadan, who is obligatory on? What happens if a person doesn't know Ramadan began and they started fasting before the month? What are they supposed to do? If they started after the month, what do they have to do? In the next chapter is Babu Ahkam al-Muftirin fi Ramadan, the chapter of the people who Ramadan is obligatory on them to fast, right? It's obligatory on them to fast, but they have an excuse not to fast. They have an excuse not to fast. Because in the beginning they mentioned 4 descriptions, the 4 descriptions of a person who has to fast, which is kullu Muslim, that they're Muslim, baligh, they reach the age of puberty, aqil, they have their sanity, not mentally challenged, and that they're qadir ala as-sawm, that they're able, they have the ability to fast. So now, the person who has these 4 qualities or characteristics, they're Muslim, they reach the age of puberty, they have their sanity, and the 4th one they don't meet, possibly. Maybe they do, but maybe they don't. They're able to fast. They're able to fast and they don't do it. They're able to fast and they don't fast Ramadan. So he says, وَيُبَاحُ الْفِطْرُ فِي رَمَضَانَ لِأَرْبَعَةِ أَقْسَامٍ. It's broken down into 4 groups. 4 groups of people that they meet all the requirements to fast, but they don't fast. Is it allowed for them to do this, number 1? Permissible. Person has all of the qualities, they can fast, they have the ability and everything, and they don't fast.
Are you saying like they just, like I'm not fasting?
Is it possible that a person meets all the requirements and they don't fast?
Yes.
Like, maybe voluntarily, or maybe they choose not to.
Okay.
They might choose not to fast even though they meet all the requirements. They might choose not to.
Or medicine, but that's a whole nother twist.
They choose not to fast. They're Muslim, they're age of puberty, they have their sanity, they're able to fast. In this case, they choose not to fast Ramadan. Right? Or they might not, they might be prohibited from fasting. They don't have a choice. Depending on the section that they fall under. So the first one, he says, أحدها المريض الذي يتضرر به. The first section has 2 people. It's 2 types of people that fall under the first section. The first section has 2 types of people. المريض الذي يتضرر به. The sick person is sick, right? And if they fast, the fast is going to increase the sickness. They're not terminally ill. They might have a cold, right? May have not even the flu, maybe something less than the flu, right? But if they fast, it's going to cause the fast is going to cause the sickness to increase, right? So in the beginning he says, Yubah al-fitru fi Ramadan. It's permissible for 4 categories of people to break the fast on Ramadan. It's permissible for 4 types of people, 4 categories of people to break their fast on Ramadan. The first group of people, there are 2 types that fall into the first group. The sick person, if they fast, is going to increase the sickness. That's the first one. That means that what? If they're sick and the sickness is going to cause the fast is going to cause the sickness to increase, they can break the fast. Right? The second person, وَالْمُسَافِرُ الَّذِي لَهُ قَصْرٌ. The person that's fasting, the person that's traveling, al-musafir alladhi lahu qasr. And he specified alladhi lahu qasr. The fasting person who is, the traveling person. The traveling person who is allowed to shorten the salah. The traveling person who is allowed to shorten the salah. Tayyib. So the question is there a traveler who is not allowed to shorten the salah? He says, al-musafir alladhi lahu al-qasr. The one who is allowed to shorten. And that's how these books are written. He wrote it like that specifically, meaning the one who's traveling and he's not allowed to shorten the salah, he's not allowed to break the fast either. This doesn't include him. This doesn't include the person who's traveling and they're not allowed to shorten the salah. Tayyib? Clear?
Who would that be? I mean, is it like a distance qualification?
So that's the question. Who is the one that's not allowed to shorten the salah as a traveler? They say that the one who can shorten the salah while they're traveling is the one who's traveling to do something that is permissible. They're traveling to do something that is permissible Islamically to do, which excludes the person who travels to do some haram. If someone travels to do something haram and permissible, right? They don't have the right to shorten the salah. They don't have the right to break the fast. Tayyib? Clear? That's why it says specifically, al-musafir alladhi lahu qasr. The one who's allowed to shorten the salah when he's traveling. Because the one who's not allowed to shorten, like the one who goes and travels to do some haram, whatever it may be, that one, he's not allowed to shorten the salah. That's an issue of khilaf amongst the ulama, but it shows the importance, how serious it is. They say that the one, he can't take the rukhsa, he can't take that break. He can't take that. He's not allowed to benefit from that. Right? Based on him traveling or her traveling to do something haram.
So I was going to say, like, when people go and go make Umrah during Ramadan, it's permissible because they're doing something halal.
They don't even have to go there. They traveling from here to, maybe they work in New York.
Oh, okay.
They're going to work. They're going to visit a family member in Florida or wherever they are. Mubah. It's permissible to do that. But if they traveling to do some haram, close out a deal on something that's haram, right? Then the early man say, and this is why he mentioned in his book, the one who's allowed, then to him, to some of the ulama, they can't shorten. They can't make a dhuhr 2 rak'ah while you're traveling. Because they're traveling to do something haram. So they say that rukhsa or that permissibility to shorten doesn't apply to those people. Tayyib. So this is the first one. The first one is the first group. It's 4 groups. The first group, the one that if they fast is going to increase their sickness. They're sick, but if they fast is going to increase the sickness. The second group is the traveler. That's on a permissible, they're traveling to do something that is Islamically allowable. It's Islamically permissible. Tayyib. If they do break the fast, they break the fast. Tayyib. He says, firstly, فَالْفِطْرُ لَهُمَا أَفْضَلُ. For both of those, for the one that's sick, and if he fasts or she fasts, it's going to increase the sickness. Right? He says, فَالْأَفْضَلُ الْفِطْرُ لَهُمَا أَفْضَلُ. It's better that they fast. It's better that they fast. Meaning they have the option. Right? They have the option. If I'm sick, I have a cold. If I fast, it's possible it can cause more to this, it can cause more. We're not talking about like cancer. We're talking about a little cold. Cold, we call it a cold, not even the flu. Right? They say it's better for them to fast anyway. And same thing for the traveler who can shorten. The traveler who can shorten, if he's traveling or she's traveling, right, and they can shorten, it's better that they fast now to remove the obligation, they say, from their neck. As it's an obligation on us to fast Ramadan. And if we don't fast, we got to make them up. So the faster you get it out the way, the better. Obligation. The faster the obligation is fulfilled, the better. طيب. So they say, فَالْفِطْرُ لَهُمَا أَفْضَلُ وَعَلَيْهِمَا الْقَضَاءُ. And they both, the one that's sick and the one that's traveling, they both have to make it up. They both have to make it up. If they choose to break the fast, they both have to make it up. وَإِنْ صَامَا أَجْزَأَهُمَا. But if they did fast, it counts. So if he was sick or she was sick, and they thought that if I fast it might cause more sickness, and they choose to fast anyway, it counts towards their days. If he's traveling from here to wherever they're traveling to, right, and they still fast anyway, it counts towards their Ramadan. It counts towards their fast and their obligatory fast. The second group, they meet the requirements. Muslim, baligh, aqil, they meet all the requirements, but they can't fast. Yubah al-fitru. Al-hamilu, al-ha'id wal-nufasa. Al-ha'id wal-nufasa. The woman on her menses, and the woman that just had postpartum, that's having postpartum bleeding after she has a baby. Tayyib. Meaning, if a woman is on her menses, she doesn't fast. If the woman just had a baby, she's still bleeding from the postpartum bleeding, she doesn't fast. He says, Tuftirani wa taqdiyani. Number one, they break the fast. It's not permissible for them to fast at all. Ijma'in, bil ijma', with consensus of the ulama. All the scholars agree that the woman on her menses, she can't fast. So number one, Tuftirani, they break the fast, meaning they're not like the first group. The first group had a choice. They don't have a choice. As Aisha said, رضي الله عنها, كنا نؤمر بقضاء الصوم ولا نؤمر بقضاء الصلاة. We were commanded, the woman on her menses, we were commanded when they were on their menses to make up the days, but we weren't commanded to make up the salat that they missed while they were on their menses. So al-ha'id wal-nufasa, and the postpartum bleeding is the same. So first of all, they break the fast. So meaning she's fasting in the middle of the day. After dhuhr, for example, her menses comes. Like she breaks the fast. Her fast, that day doesn't count. She has to make that day up after Ramadan, and the days that come after that. Wal-nufasa, and the postpartum bleeding is the same. She might be bleeding, maybe she had a baby right before Ramadan. The bleeding could last, as they say, 40 days. Ramadan is 29 or 30. So maybe 15 days out of that she was bleeding. The first 15 days of Ramadan, she was bleeding from postpartum. So none of those days she can even fast, even if she wanted to. So first, she doesn't fast, and secondly, they have to make all of the days up that they miss, either from the menstrual cycle or from the postpartum bleeding. وَإِن صَامَتَا. But what if they choose to fast anyway? Right? وَإِن صَامَتَا. She said, you know what, I know she says, I know I'm on my menses, but I'm going to fast anyway, because I don't really feel I can do it. It says, وَإِن صَامَتَا لَمْ يُلْزِئْهِمَا. It doesn't count. Even if they wanted to fast, it doesn't count. As Aisha said, we were commanded to make up the days. The Prophet ﷺ commanded them to make the days up, so it wouldn't count if they wanted to fast anyway. So that's the second group. The third group, al-hamilu wal-murdi'. The third group, the pregnant woman and the breastfeeding woman, right? And this one is a little more detailed according to the situation. إِذَا خَافَتَا عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمَا. It depends. They break into two different situations for the fasting, for the breastfeeding woman and for the pregnant woman. Either one, they think if they fast, they're going to cause harm to themselves. Right? Or two, they believe they can fast. They don't have a problem. It's not their problem. But if they fast, it might cause harm to the baby. Either one, the baby that's in the stomach, or two, she fasts while she's breastfeeding, so enough milk doesn't come to feed the baby. So the baby is going to be harmed. Each situation is different. So, he says, إِذَا خَافَتَا عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمَا أَثْفَرَتَا وَقَضَتَا. If either one of them, the pregnant woman or the woman that's breastfeeding, if she thinks she's going to be harmed only and not the baby's not going to be harmed, just her, then she has two things. Number one, أَثْفَرَتَا, she breaks the fast. And number two, she makes the day up. That's why it's only two things for her. She breaks her fast and she makes the day up. Why? Because she's only worried about harming herself. She's not able, so she's like a sick person. Right? A sick person. They can't fast, they break their fast and they make the day up. Clear? That's the first situation for them. They only fear for themselves. They don't fear for the baby. They fear for themselves. The other situation is they don't fear for themselves, they fear for the baby. Either the breastfeeding woman, if she fasts, not enough milk is going to come for the baby. Or the pregnant woman, if she fasts, she fears for the baby that's in her stomach. If this happens, وَإِنْ خَافَتَا عَلَى وَلَدَيْهِمَا, they have three things now. They fear for the baby. Number one, أَثْفَرَتَا, they break the fast. وَقَضَتَا, they have to make the day up. وَأَطْعَمَتَا عَلَى كُلِّ يَوْمٍ مِسْكِينًا, and they have to feed a poor person for every day that they break that fast. So they have three things. Which one? The one, they don't fear for themselves. They can fast, but they fear for the baby. So they break their fast based on something outside of their abilities, so to say. Therefore, they have to do something extra. أَفْطَرَتَا وَقَضَتَا وَأَطْعَمَتَا عَنْ كُلِّ يَوْمٍ مِسْكِينًا. So how do they pay? Here's the message. It's a lot of room. They could feed one poor person with all of the days. For example, they had 10 days they had to make up. For example, she was breastfeeding. She missed 10 days. Does she have to feed 10 different people? He said she can feed one person. Right? But for 10 days. Right? Like that. It's a lot of room on the way they can do it. The way that the poor person can be fed is open.
The poor person has to be Muslim.
Does the person have to be Muslim? Allah. I think it's Ola. That might be your first choice. If they fed a non-Muslim, would it count? Allahu طيب. وإن صامتا أجزأهما. If the pregnant woman decided to fast, it counts. It counts towards the Ramadan. And if the breastfeeding woman decided to fast, it counts. So they gauge the situation basically. The pregnant woman and the breastfeeding woman, they gauge the situation. If they think it's going to be a harm to the baby and they decide to break the fast, they deal with the repercussions as far as making them up and paying for or feeding a poor person each day. If she thinks it's going to harm herself and she breaks the fast, she can break the fast, but she still has to make the day up if she's just worried about herself. That's the third group.
That's a question. You said like if it's on herself, she has to make the day up. She couldn't feed anybody.
She doesn't have to feed anybody.
She can't.
No, she can't feed anybody. Okay, she breaks the fast and she has to make it up. Feeding somebody, that's extra.
Right. And only feed somebody when you can't fast. Like people have systemic illness, like some people have diabetes, medication all day.
Right.
They can't fast. Feed somebody.
Right. But also, for this type of woman, she can fast, but she breaks her fast based on fear for the baby. Right. She has to feed somebody also. And she has to make it up.
Oh, she has to do both?
She got all three.
Are they options, or she has to do all three?
No, she's the option. There's two of them. One only fears for herself. She has two things. She breaks the fast and she makes it up. She's finished. The second one, she doesn't fear for herself. She fears for the baby. Either she stops breastfeeding, there's not enough milk going to come. Or she fears for the baby in her stomach. Maybe the baby's like already underweight. She's late in her pregnancy. She feels she needs to eat more. She fears for the baby. She breaks it out of fear for the baby. They break the fast. They have to make it up, and they have to feed a poor person for each day that they break the fast.
So they have to do all three.
All three.
Oh.
All three.
So, all right, let me make sure I'm following. So the one that doesn't, for the woman that's pregnant that doesn't fear for herself, or that just doesn't fear for herself, she has to make it up.
Say it again.
For the woman that doesn't fear for herself.
She doesn't fear for herself.
Yeah.
Who does she fear for?
She fear for the baby.
Like, she has what now?
She has to make it up.
Both of them have to make it up.
And she has to feed somebody.
There you are.
Okay.
So they both break the fast. If it's fear involved from either, they're going to break the fast. So that's one. They both have to make it up. That's two. But the one who fears for the baby and not herself, she has to feed a person for each day also. Tayyib? Clear?
Feed somebody and make it up.
There you are. She got to make it up anyway. Either way, they got to make it up. But now she broke it based on fear for the baby. So now she has to feed a poor person for each day that she does that.
Why is that?
Jade. She
Because
broke.
it seems like, if you're sick and can't fast, right? You have an option, right? You can feed somebody and you don't have to make it up.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you can make it up.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a choice. Now, she doesn't have a choice. She has all three. She has to feed somebody and fast. Is that correct?
Sahih, right.
Okay.
She broke her fast not based on herself. She's able to fast. She can fast. It's an outside entity, let's say.
Outside entity?
Outside entity.
What's that?
The baby.
She's fearing for the baby.
Yeah, I realize that part, but isn't that like affecting her?
No.
Is it affecting her?
You say outside entity. The entity's inside. Right?
Outside meaning she can do it.
Oh, so
She can actually fast. She can fast, but she's here. She says, you know what? If I fast,
the baby not going to eat.
maybe the baby, maybe.
Well, let me frame this a different way. Right? Okay. Say, for example, some women, right, when they're pregnant, because the baby like certain nutrients they require, they have to eat.
Right.
They have to take nutrients, and even they may have to take medication, for example.
Right.
Would that be the same situation too?
No. It's a little different.
Okay, because
It's a little
it's
different. It's a
something
little
that
more.
they don't have no choice.
Right. That
Okay.
that raises it a little more. The
choice
necessity is a little more higher now.
Adds to it.
Yeah, you know, the necessity is a little more higher. But now you're talking about definitely harming the baby.
Right.
Here she fears.
So she's not even sure.
She's not sure.
Okay.
Right? And the issue is difference of opinion, of course.
Oh.
Khilaf. When these books, when they write their books, they don't mention this is a beginner book. So if a person did this, they're safe. Alhamdulillah. If a person came, they don't really go into ikhtilaf and all that. I just mention it now and then just because if you see somebody else doing something, won't get all on them. But some of the ulama say no, she doesn't have to feed the person. But the other person is a little different, which is the fourth category. The fourth category is al-ajiz an as-sawm li-kibrin aw mardin la yurja bur'uhu. The person who's not able to fast at all. Either one, they're old, elderly, they can't handle it. Or two, they're sick. But this sickness has no cure. So they wouldn't able to make the day up anyway. Right? They can't fast now, and they won't be able to fast after Ramadan. Not like the first sick person. The first sick person had a cold. Be gone in a week. Set them down on a long one. That's a long run, right? This person is sick, and there's no cure.
Like chronic.
Chronic illness. It's going to be there. They can be young, they can be 15, they can be 20, they can be 70. If they fall into this category, then they can break the fast. And this is the person فَإِنَّهُ يُطْعِمُ عَنْهُ لِكُلِّ يَوْمٍ مِسْكِينًا. That he feeds or she feeds a poor person for every day, of Ramadan. How do they do it? That's open. How? Do they have to feed one every day? They can feed a person every day. Meaning, every day they can come and feed a person for that day.
Well, how about, like, when you see people, I know people that couldn't fast or whatever, and they gave it iftar, like, that amount of people came.
Right.
Does that count?
Yeah.
Like, you can't feed a person every day, but you get a group of 30 people.
Right.
And you just feed them.
Meaning they wait to the end, basically. What they do is they basically wait to the end of Ramadan and feed people for all 30 days or 29 days.
Oh, you can't. You got to do it at the end.
You don't have to, but if you want to, you don't, what you're not going to do is...
Like, try to get it out the way now? You understand?
Yeah, because it didn't happen
First
yet.
day you feed the 30 people.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
You're going to either go day by day.
Right.
The day has to pass.
Right. Okay.
Once the day passes, you feed them.
Okay. Okay.
Like, they might do 10 days pass. They feed 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little open, but you're not going to go before the day of the fast. Yes, I'm going to feed everybody tonight for the rest of Ramadan.
Okay.
Let me ask you another question in reference to that. Like, say, for example, you know there's a shelter that feeds people every day. If you make provisions for 30 people, give them all at once, how does that work?
All at once. You can do 30 people all at once, but you don't want to do it.
No, what I'm saying is, like, they feed people every day, right?
Right.
So you give them enough food to feed somebody for 30 days.
One person.
Yeah. But they do it every day.
Right.
So what you're giving them is like say 30 days worth of food.
Right.
Right.
And they're going to do it every day, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
They're going to feed them for you.
Right. So now, how does that work? If you give it to them, like, say, the first day of Ramadan, okay, I know this shelter's feeding people every day. So I'm going to give them, like, enough provisions to make, if I was to break it down individually, it'd be a meal for a person every day.
Right. Basically, you saying, you feeding one poor person, the same poor person every day, for example.
Right.
Or if it's a
But
different
you
poor
just
person every day.
give
Right,
You give them the bulk.
But you're big enough for them to feed somebody every day.
Yeah. طيب. Number one, when they going to feed them? What time are they feeding them? You got to look at that.
Well, okay.
You don't want to feed them before the fast is over.
Ah, right.
Okay.
They feed
Most
them
of
at,
they would do that
you know
too.
what I'm saying? They feed them at 6:30. Every day is his own day of worship.
Right.
Every day is separate.
Right.
So you don't have a day to make up. The day not over yet. You know what I'm saying? The day has to go by, and then in order to make it up.
Okay.
All right. So now I'm understanding. So I never knew that. So if we was to fall under that, we have to wait until it's time to break the fast to feed the person.
There you go.
Oh, okay. I never knew that.
You're going to feed them before the day is over. You can't feed them before the day is over. You don't have a day to make up yet. You do have a day to make up, but the day's still going.
Okay.
And that's going to come in a little later.
No, but that's all good because people might just try to feed ahead of time before the fast is even up. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You caught into that, but I didn't know that. That's what I'm saying.
It's better. It's safer. I mean, it's Ramadan. It's a pillar.
Some people like to fast.
It's Ramadan. It's a pillar. It's safer to do stuff that you know is going to be done right to the best of your ability. If you dropped off 30 days worth of food at the shelter, I mean, your intention was good, but is
Might be
it?
feeding it for them for breakfast or something.
You never know. Hopefully somebody, they might put your joint to the side and say we're gonna save this till
Yeah, but see, most of those shelters things, they finish feeding people by like about 6, 7 o'clock.
every day.
Most of the times, yeah. You know.
Yeah, I mean, it's safer. Al-ahwa.
So we gotta wait for Ramadan coming.
Yeah, it's safer to do stuff that you know is gonna fall, that you don't have any gray areas about. It's your fast. It's your Ramadan. You don't want any gray areas. I wonder if I did that right. You sure? All right, we all broke fast together. Every day I bought a plate. We got the man. I gave it to a brother every day. You comfortable. Your heart is khilaf. Some of the ulama say this. Some of them, they got the little. Then later on you hear, well, I remember 2 years ago. It's just something that's the way on your heart.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, and this is if you're talking about day by day. Now, if you say once you go past all the days and you get like to the 28th day or the 29th day, then you want to feed. Do it matter if it's after Maghrib when it's time to break fast, or they just could get fed, period?
Up to that day?
Yeah.
According to the day. You including that day you feeding them?
Yes.
Then it should be the same thing.
Okay.
It should be after the day is complete, the fasting day. Right? Tayyib. That's the fourth category. The one who can't fast because either they're old or they have a chronic sickness. So they feed a poor person for every day. طيب وعلى سائر من أثر القضاء ولا لا غير. And anybody else who breaks the fast according to anything else, they eat, they drink, they eat something, they break their fast. Anybody else who breaks their fast, all they have to do is what? They have to make it the day. Not like it's a small thing, but they don't have to feed anybody. A person who breaks their fast because they ate something in the middle of the day, they don't have to feed somebody for that. They have to make the day up. And if they don't have an excuse, then they have to repent. They have to make tawbah. Because that's an act of disobedience for breaking a fast without an excuse. It's ma'asiyah, it's disobedience to Allah. Ramadan is wajib. So if a person doesn't have an excuse to break the fast, then it's a sin. To break the fast without an excuse is a sin. Therefore, they have to repent. And they have to make the day up. You with me?
And the reason I look puzzled is because I remember years and years ago, right? And years ago, things could be a little twisted. If you intentionally broke your fast for no legitimate reason, you had to fast like 30 consecutive months. That's what I heard a long time ago.
Wow, 30 consecutive months? That's
30 consecutive months, right?
Months?
Months.
I know, right? That's a long time.
Okay, good. So basically, you just got to pray for forgiveness.
Yeah, you got to make tawbah. You got to repent
And
to Allah, ask for forgiveness, and you got to make the day up.
Right.
You got to make the day up.
Okay.
Tayyib. So breaking the fast does what? A person has to make the day up for sure. Possible, depending on the situation, they might have to feed a person. Tayyib. Except for one thing. There's one thing a person does that they have to do what they call kafara, like a penalty. Right? إلا من أفطر بجماع في الفرج فإنه يقضي. Except for the person who is intimate with their spouse during the day. The man or the woman. They have sex with their wife during the day, Ramadan. Right? The one that has sex during the day in Ramadan, then they have to, number one, make up the day. فإنه يقضي. They make up the day just like everybody else. They broke the fast today, right? Just like drinking breaks the fast, right? Just like eating breaks the fast. Just like a person's intention to break their fast breaks their fast. The niyyah to break the fast breaks the fast.
During the day.
During the day.
Yeah. Before you even eat something, just
It's after Dhuhr. It's after Dhuhr. It's a rough morning. I miss Sahur. It's after Dhuhr.
Right.
I gotta get a grub. I'm breaking my fast. Even if they don't say it, I'm breaking my fast. They head to the store, wherever they go to the store, they're going to break the fast.
You already broke.
And then they
It's
change
broke.
their mind.
Then they change, they already broke it with the niyyah.
So you might as well eat,
I mean, you shouldn't eat still, but along the line, this is serious. Tayyib. The person who breaks the fast with intercourse, they have a penalty higher than everybody else. They have to make up the day, and they have to pay a kafara, which is like a penalty. And the kafara is in order, according to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. In the hadith, the man came to show how severe it was. The man came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, halakt. He said, I destroyed myself. That's the word he used. I destroyed myself. He said, Malik. He said, what did you do? Waqa'tu. He said, I went to my wife during the day in Ramadan. So he described destruction. I really messed up. Right?
You talking to the prophet?
Yeah, so he came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, halakt. طيب. He said, وقعت على امرأتي وأنا صائم. I went to my wife while I'm praying. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم هل تجد رقبة تعتقها. And this is the kafara that they have to play. Number one, they have to make it up. The man and the woman, they have to make it up. Number two, the kafara, the penalty is in order. As the Prophet ﷺ said. He said, هل تجد رقبة تعتقها. Free a slave. Do you have a slave you can free? طيب. This is the hadith. قال لا. No, I don't have any slaves. I don't have any slaves I can free. It's the kafara, the penalty you gotta pay. Number one, you gotta free a slave. You can't free a slave, طيب. So the Prophet ﷺ said, هل تستطيع أن تصوم شهرين متتابعين? Are you able to fast for 2 months straight? 2 months straight, every day, 2 months straight. Could be 60 days. Could be 58 if the month's still 29, right? Are you able to fast 2 months straight? The man said, La, I'm not able to do that. So this is the order of the kafara. If a person breaks their fast with sex during the day, they have to pay a kafara. What's the kafara? First of all, if they're able to, they have to free a slave. No slaves, like, they have to fast 60 days. Or 2 months, let's just say. Shahrain mutatabi'ain, 2 consecutive. Not like I'm going to fast this month, I'm going to take off next month, and I'm going to go. He said, Shahrain mutatabi'ain, 2 consecutive months. Right? Shows the severity of breaking the fast with intercourse. And the man said, I destroyed myself. Destruction. He said, after that, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the man said, La, I can't fast for 2 months straight. فقال فهل تجد إطعامة 60 مسكينة? Are you able to feed 60 people? 60, not 30. 60. 60 people. Ramadan is only 29, 30 days. Are you able to feed 60 people? Are you able to feed 60 poor people? Qala la. I can't even do that. So this is the order of the kafara. That number 1, if they're able, they have to free a slave. They don't have to do all 3 of them. But it's in order. If they can't, if they don't have the ability to free a slave, right, then they do what? Fast 2 months straight, consecutive months, back to back. If they're not able to do that, then they have to feed 60 people. If they're not able to do that, it says, سَقَطَتْ عَنْهُ. If they're not able to do that, then the obligation or the responsibility of the kafara drops off. There's nothing on it. Because at the end of the hadith, the man said he's not able to do that either. So, قال فمكث النبي عليه الصلاة والسلام فبينما نحن على ذلك أتي النبي بعرق فيه تمر والعرق. So while they were sitting there, they sat there for a while. After the man said he couldn't do either, none of the 3 can do anything. They sat there for a while, and somebody brought the Prophet ﷺ a container with dates in it. So he said, "Aina as-sa'il? Where's the questioner?" The Prophet ﷺ said, "Where's the man who was asking the question?" قال أنا, I'm right here. قال خذ هذا فتصدق به. Take this and give sadaqah with it. Right? Take the container with the dates in it and give it as sadaqah. فقال الرجل على أفقر مني يا رسول الله فوالله ما بين لابتيها أهل بيت أفقر مني ومن أهل بيتي. He said, give it to somebody that's poorer than me. He said, Wallahi, I swear by Allah, there's nobody, Bain al-Labateha, talking about a place in Medina, there's not a household that is poorer than my household in Medina to give it to. I'm the poorest person in Medina, basically. He says, فَضَحِكَ النَّبِيُّ عَلَيْهِ الصَّلَاةُ وَالسَّلَامُ حَتَّى بَدَأَتْ أَنْيَابُهُ. So the Prophet ﷺ, he smiled, he laughed until you could see his teeth, his back teeth. He said, أَطْعِمْهُ أَهْلَكَ. He said, well, give it to your family. So they say that after the man said he couldn't do the 3, he didn't put anything else on it. So they say if he can't do the 3, if a person is not able to do the 3, then the obligation of the kafala drops off. But the kafala is obligatory for the person who has the ability, they have to do it. If they don't have a slave, most people don't have slaves. Like the person who has sex on a day in Ramadan, they have to fast 2 consecutive months. 2 consecutive months. And if they can't do that, they might be a little older. Maybe they really can't do it. Then they have to feed 60 people. طيب. فإن جامع ولم يكفر حتى الجامع الثانية فكفارة واحدة. طيب. They have sex during the day. That means they have to pay the kafara, right? Meaning
the man and the woman.
The man and the woman, yeah. Right? They have to pay a kafara. طيب. Meaning they have to either slave, fast 60 days. Let's just use fasting 60 days. We'll use that for example. طيب. For example, not that it's okay. This is not meaning it's okay, but this is how do you handle it if this were to happen. If somebody came and they said to a mufti, they said, I had sex with my wife during the day in Ramadan. Twice. After Dhuhr, Allah understand, after Asr. So, if they had sex and he never did the kafala, he didn't do anything, right? Well, let's use it something that's even closer so it can be clear. Because fasting 60 days can't happen right now. He has slaves, let's just say. The person has slaves. They have sex, so that means they have to do what? Either one, free a slave, fast 60 days, or feed 60 people. He frees a slave after Dhuhr. Right?
Then it's off him.
It's off him.
He can continue fasting.
Right. It's done.
Not for that day.
Not for that day. He still has to make that day, but he's done what he has to do for that day. Like, what if they have sex after Dhuhr? He doesn't pay the kafala right away. Then after Asr, he has sex with her again. Twice in the same day. Right? Has sex after Dhuhr, he doesn't free a slave. After Asr, he has sex with her again. Twice in one day. They say, how many kafalas does he have to pay? One or two?
I say two.
Two.
For two violations?
One. Two violations, Jade. Why one?
Well, it's in the same day, before the day was over.
It's in the same day. Like, he has to pay one kafala because he never paid the kafala. He never paid it.
So the answer is one?
It's one. He has to pay one kafala. If he doesn't pay the kafala, if he never did it, he never freed the slave, and he does it again, right?
So both times only count as one.
One day?
Because it's one day.
Both times count as one as he didn't what? He didn't pay the penalty.
Now once if he had paid it, then he come back at the altar, then he had to pay it again.
Again.
Okay. All right.
You with me? He's in the same day. He's in the same day. He does two violations in the same day. But between the two violations, he never pays the penalty. He pays one penalty. That's the first issue. He never paid the penalty. Yes, it's two violations, the same violation. Right? But he never paid the penalty. So he pays altogether one penalty. طيب وإن كفر ثم جامع فكفر ثانية. I'm sorry. وإن كفر ثم جامع فكفارة ثانية. But if he does the same thing like we're talking about, they have sex, he frees a slave, he pays the penalty. He comes back and has sex again, he has to free another slave in the same day. Right? Once he pays that penalty, he starts over from scratch. You do it again, you got to pay another penalty. Right? That's all in the same day. Clear? Once he pays that penalty, once they pay that penalty, they clean themselves off. They come do it again, they got to pay again. طيب. وكل من لزمه الإمساك في رمضان فجامع فعليه كفارة. And everybody who is supposed to be fasting during Ramadan, right? If they have sex, then they have to pay the penalty. Now, he doesn't really go into detail here, but what's meant is, for example, somebody's traveling, right? The traveler, and this is what's meant here, the traveler is not fasting. They choose not to fast. They coming from California. They get here back to Philly. It's Ramadan. They said when they arrive, they have to refrain from eating for the rest of the day. Right? They have to refrain from, it's Ramadan, they have to refrain from eating. And sack. Or even the person who breaks their fast, they eat something, they intentionally break their fast. Or if they even have sex, whoever breaks their fast, they still have to refrain from eating, even though their fast is broken. Right? So the man has sex with his wife after Dhuhr. His fast is broken, her fast is broken. They still can't eat and drink and everything else until the sun goes down. Right? طيب. What he's saying is that whoever does that, whoever alayhi imsak, whoever is still, their fast is broken. Let's just say his fast is broken by eating. Right? He's still, after he eats, he still has to refrain from everything else for the rest of the day. So if the person broke their fast by eating or drinking at Dhuhr, at 12 o'clock, right? They still have to refrain from everything else until Maghrib. After Asr, the same one who broke his fast by eating or drinking has sex with his wife. He has to pay a kafara. Clear? Even though his fast was broken? Yes, he said why? Because of alayhi imsak. He's supposed to refrain from everything until the sun goes down. طيب. Clear? and sat. It's called the person who has to refrain, even though their fast is broken, they're still supposed to refrain from everything else. They don't just keep eating. Oh, I already broken, I collapse. They just go in. Yeah, like I got a pass now, I can just go in. They say, no, you should still refrain from eating the rest of the day. And in that issue, there's khilaf. Some of the ulama say the fast is broken, there's no benefit in the person refraining. Some say they can go ahead and they don't have to refrain.
But what's the strongest?
Allah, I'm strong. We're going through this statement of the author.
Okay.
We're just going through the statement of the author. If somebody did this, alhamdulillah, they're okay. But there are people who say they don't have to refrain from fasting once they broke the fast. There are some ulama who say that.
But then it would be like, to me, it would be like, if you done broke it, it ain't no benefit. You know what I'm saying? You going to make it up.
You got to make it. That's what the other men say. But these, they say, la, it says Ramadan. This is a serious time. It's a precious time. Hold them to walk. This is a sacred month. This is sacred. You got to respect it.
Words like that, now you be like,
respect the sacredness of the month. You're just going to sit around and eat. All the Muslims fasting. It's only 11 months out of this, 1 month out of the year. It's sacred time. You got to respect the sacredness and refrain from doing everything, even if you broke it. And that's what they say. The other ones say, no, once it's broken, it's broken. طيب. It says, ومن أخر القضاء لعذر حتى أدركه رمضان آخر. Person has days to make up. But now the issue is ta'khir, delaying the making up of the days. Right? Delaying the making up of the days until the next Ramadan. So, the person who does ta'khir, they delay the days, two types of people. Either one, they're delaying the days they have to make up. Let's say the woman was on the menses. So she got about 6-7 days to make up, right? So after Ramadan, she has to the next Ramadan to make them up. But if she delays making up her days all the way until the next Ramadan comes, either one, she has an excuse for not making them days up. Or two, she doesn't have an excuse. Right? Or the person who is traveling. During Ramadan, they travel somewhere, they broke their fast for 3 days. They have until the next Ramadan to make up those 3 days. Tayyib. Before the next Ramadan comes, either one, they have an excuse for not making those days up before the next Ramadan, or they don't have an excuse. Clear? Somebody might have an excuse. They might have been sick all year. They came down with sickness all year. They weren't able to do it. Right? So they might have a literal excuse. Somebody might not have an excuse. طيب. So the person who does this with an excuse, فَلَيْسَ عَلَيْهِ غَيْرُهُ. He doesn't have to do anything but just make the day up. All he has to do is make the day up. He has an excuse. What happened? He didn't make up all those days until the next Ramadan came. Now he's squeezing them in. Right? Before Ramadan, he's squeezing them in. Ramadan's coming now. He's squeezing them in. This person, all he has to do is make the days up. He had an excuse. They delayed it with an excuse. Possibly they were sick all year. Mumkin. The one who doesn't have an excuse, or who didn't have an excuse, وَإِنْ فَرَّطَ, if they were just negligent, I get to it when I get to it. They don't have any type of excuse for not making those days up before the next Ramadan comes. He says, أَطْعُمَ مَعَ الْقَضَاءِ كُلِّ يَوْمٍ مِسْكِينًا. Every day that they make up, they have to feed a poor person.
This is the person that don't have an excuse.
Person that doesn't have an excuse.
And just delayed it on.
They just delayed this. Right? They have to make the day up, and they have to feed a poor person. Tayyib. Clear? That's for the one who delays making up the day. We got another person here. We got two different people here.
So basically, when you have to make the days up right after Ramadan is over, you should start.
There you go. It's better. It's better to start. It's better to make them up like as soon as possible. But if a person, they have until the next Ramadan. Okay. They go all the way to the next Ramadan, and Ramadan is like coming up. They got 5 days to make up, and it's 3 days till Ramadan. But you got an excuse or you don't have an excuse. If they got an excuse, they got to make the days up. Make them up is nothing else. So if they don't have an excuse, they got to make the day up and feed a person for each of those 5 days.
They got to make 5 days up, but it's 3 days till Ramadan. So
choose 3 to make it even.
Oh.
Make it even 3. They got 3 days to make up. They put it to this last possible minute. It's 3 days to Ramadan. You got 2 days to make up. Or you got 3 days. You don't really have no room, no wiggle room. Did you leave yourself no wiggle room just nothing? Or you have an excuse for coming down to the wire like that? Down to the wire. If you got an excuse for going down to the wire, then you just make up the days. If you don't have an excuse for going down to the wire, then they say you got to make up the day and you have to feed a poor person for those days. That's for the one who delays making up the day. For the one who tark, they don't make up the day at all. وَإِن تَرْكَ الْقَضَاءَ حَتَّى مَاتَ لِعُذْرٍ فَلَيْسَ شَيْءٌ عَلَيْهِ. So what about the one? He says, فَإِن تَرَكَ الْقَضَاءَ. If he doesn't or she doesn't make up the day until they die, until they just die, they die off and they never made up the day, right? لِعُذْرٍ, but they had an excuse for not making up the day, right? Maybe they were trying to make it up, but every time they went to go make it up, every time they went to go make it up, they fell sick. Something happened, pushed it back, but they were trying. They had the intention to make the day up. They never got to make it up, right? And then they died. There's nothing on them. They don't have to worry about anything, right? So what about the one who left off making up the day until they died, and they didn't have an excuse? There was no excuse for not making up that day. They had no excuse for not making up that day. Till they died. And they died. They ended up dying. They ended up dying before they made up those past days that they owed from Ramadan. طيب. He says, وَإِنْ كَانَ لِغَيْرِ عُذْرٍ أُطْعِمَ عَنْهُ لِكُلِّ يَوْمٍ مِسْكِينًا. Then someone pays or someone feeds a poor person on his behalf for every day that he owed. So if he owed 10 days, then the wali, the guardian, somebody over, or one of the inheritors, someone that would inherit from him according to the order of inheritance, right? The one that would inherit it from that person should pay or feed a poor person for each day.
Unlike you owe a debt to somebody, you know, you pass on the debt and somebody knows that. But since your fast is such a relationship with you and Allah, strictly personal, who would know that?
Who would know? It's possible.
I mean, say okay, but
if we close, we talking. Yeah, I still owe 3 days from last. You know, I gotta make up these 3 days.
Well, somebody didn't know. How does that go?
Then that's between him and Allah. If nobody knows, then nobody's going to be able to make it up for him.
But I want to circle back to something. I think I might have missed a little bit. You said a person have to make up 3 days, and they get there's like 3 days left, right? And they make them up. Right. They still got to feed somebody. Right? Right. Okay.
With no, because they didn't have an excuse.
Right. So say, for example, it's a month before Ramadan, and they got 3 days, and they make them up. Right. They just got to make the days up?
Just make the days up.
Okay.
The word they use, adrakahu Ramadan. Ramadan is reached, he's reached, now you're at the next Ramadan. Which possibly, maybe, we ain't going to go into that, but maybe he has 3 days to make up, and it's only 2 days to Ramadan. That means one of your days now done fell over. Right?
So you're either going to fast 31 days or 30 days.
It's a problem. Point being, when it gets down to the wire like that, and they don't have an excuse, it's extra on them now. Now you have to make up those days and you have to feed. But if you have an excuse, then you don't have to feed anybody, you just have to make up the day.
So it's all about your niyyah.
Yeah. So a person knows, it's on them. Yom Qiyamah, it's on everybody's going to stand before Allah. Allah knows, we might not know what's in the people's heart, but everybody knows what they're doing, why they're delaying their fast, why they're not making it up. You know? You can't really look at a person unless we all know a person is sick. And tell if they're delaying their fast or not. Tayyib. He says, so if there's no excuse, then someone feeds the poor on his behalf. إلا أن يكون الصوم معذورا فإنه يصام عنه. Except if that fast is a fast that is a fast, mandur, where mandur is that a person made a fast, it's another. They made a fast obligatory on themselves. For example, they say, they swear by, a person swears by Allah, if Allah gives me this, I'm fasting 30 days. That's another. If Allah gives me this, if Allah bless me with this, I'm fasting. The fast of Dawood for a month. I'm going to fast every other day for the next, if Allah gives me this, I'm fasting this. So they make that nether. When a person makes that nether, that fast or whatever that action is, if Allah gives me this, I'm making umrah. Whatever it is, if Allah, I'm doing, whatever that action is, if Allah, I'm doing this, that thing now that wasn't obligatory becomes obligatory on that person. It's obligatory now.
Now you saying, if the Lord give me this, I'm going to do this, such and such. Does it become obligatory once the Lord bless you with that?
Yeah.
How about if it never come to, how about if you don't see it become
That's
a
a condition. It doesn't happen.
Okay.
If Allah gives me this, it happens, He makes another. Allah gives me, He gives it to him tayyib. It's obligatory. You got to fast now. You got to fast a week. I'm going to fast 3 days. Some people, Allah let me bless this. If I pass this test, as soon as I get my degree, Allah let me get this, pass this last class, I'm fasting this. I'm going to fast a week straight. You finish up, tayyib, that another is obligatory. Tayyib. What if a person has this type of fast, right? And they die before they complete that fast. Right? He says, what? إِلَّا أَنْ يَكُونَ الصَّوْمُ الْمَنْذُورَ. If it's a sawm that's mandur like that, فَإِنَّهُ يُصَامُ عَنْهُ, then a person should fast for him. A person should fast for him. And he puts other acts of worship also. وَكَذَلِكَ كُلُّ نَذْرِ طَاعَةٍ. And any other thing that a person may make obligatory on themselves. When a person makes another obligatory, they make something that wasn't originally obligatory, they made it obligatory on themselves by that. Right? So once they do that, it becomes obligatory upon them. He said if that's the case, then somebody should fast on their behalf. If they made another that they were going to fast 3 days and they died before they get to do it, somebody should fast for them. They said, I'm going to make umrah, and they made another and somebody's able to do it, they should do it for them. Tayyib. And that's the end of the chapter of Ahkam al-Muftirin. And we'll stop there. The next chapter is Babu Ma Yufsidu Sawm. The next chapter is the chapter of the things that break the fast. The things that break the fast, but we'll do that next week, inshallah. We'll stop there. Any questions? Sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.
I had one before you get closed out. It was about the feeding the 60 poor people. If you made it on the penalty, like the right, okay. The sex, right? Right. Is that 60 people all at one time, or can you break it up?
How do they pay it?
Yeah. Is
Allahu
it paid in
a'lam.
full, or you can break it up, pay 30, then do another 30 like
Allah
that?
a'lam. Allah.
Okay.
I'll bring it next week, inshallah. The kafara for the jima'ah. Allah.